Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. A black Muslim coming to me for wisdom? Coming to me for answers? Oh shit, this is gonna be real interesting. But you bring up an interesting point. And I hadn't thought about it until this very moment. This is what I think is gonna happen with black Muslims. Uh Damn it, don't you hate when you put your underwear all the way at the bottom of the basket and then you gotta reach down in there and you gotta dig for them and try to find them, but you don't want to pull them all up at the same time? Got it. Okay, so black Muslims. All right. This is what I think. This is what I think is going to happen. Okay, black Muslims have a ton of growth to go through and wakefulness to go through. The problem with most black Muslims is most black Muslims come from exclusively black Muslim countries. Or for those people who want to, define or describe, East Africans as still being black, even though they're not Bantu black, right? But I'm not here to get into that argument. We've gotten to that argument before. My point is that when it comes to the black Muslims, not converts, as Muslims like to call them, reverts, not them. No. I'm talking about the ones that come from like African Horners, or some of your black people living in Muslim countries who've been there for centuries and all that other stuff. But most specifically, I'd say this would mainly apply to Somalians, maybe some North Sudanese, some black Egyptians, like the black Egyptians in Aswan, and your other black folks, like your Senegalese Muslims, your Nigerian Muslims, like what are they called, the Hausa, right? I think that they got a lot of growth to do. Because see, the thing is Islam is cool when you in an all black country. You just kind of take it for what it is. You take it, you just accept it, right? You don't really look at it from the racial component. You don't look at it as it being used as a political tool to conquer the African. And so, for African Americans have been outside of America for what, 400 years, something like that, right? Since the 1600s, right? So we are very familiar with white supremacy, racism. We're very familiar with immigrant populations. Doesn't matter whether they're Muslim or not, but even speaking to the Muslim populations, like the Muslims in Dearborn, Michigan, who are mostly, I believe, like Lebanese or something like that, right? They treat black people like shit. And then on top of that, we have access to media in the West that many black Muslims in the East don't have access to, right? So we're seeing all the reports, the news, the YouTube channels, all that, where if you coming out of a community where they don't have cable and Wi-Fi and stuff like that, first off, it's probably illegal to get anything that even remotely criticizes Islam, even the racism within Islam, because a lot of Muslims want to deny that that racism even exists in Islam. Okay, so in my opinion, it's like, a lot of people will say, oh, it's not your place, and they get in their feelings because they want to defend Islam as black Muslims. But the reality is that for those Muslims who are first generation, second generation, okay, who grow up in the West, they're going to see how much they are devalued by other Muslims in real time. See, if you living in Somalia and you don't interact with the Pakistani, you don't interact with the Arab, right? You don't interact with the Turk, right? You don't interact with any of them, right? You're not gonna, you're like Islamic racism is like theory to you, right? But see, if you're in London, or if you're in, Dearborn, Michigan, or anywhere near Dearborn, Michigan, or if you're in New York, right, and you're a black Muslim, and then you're, going around and you go to the mosque or the masjid, or you go to, you trying to date somebody's daughter, right, and then you start hearing, Abid, you start hearing all these sort of, names thrown at you, kafir, you know what I mean? And you're sitting there, they're like, oh, but brother, inshallah, alhamdulillah, and all the other stuff, and you start seeing how none of that matters. What I think is that you're going to have a pushback come from the black Muslim youth towards their black elders, and they may not throw Islam in the recycling bin, but they're just going to slowly withdrawing and stop practicing. That's what you're going to start seeing. They'll say that they're Muslim in name to keep the family happy and everything else, but they're going to look at it for what it is. It's like, this is not the reality I'm living. The picture that Islam and the mosque and the imam is trying to paint is not the reality that I'm living. Okay, all this eternal love and everything else, that's not the reality I'm living. Black people are treated like shit. They're treated like shit by other Muslims. We're looked down upon. You know what I mean? We're seen as inferior. Our skin, our hair texture, our features are put down, right? And so, they'll be impacted by that. Now, obviously, not every black Muslim is going to be impacted the same, because, like, example, with your African horners, a lot of them have what would be considered European features. I hate that term, but there's no other way I can describe it. They most certainly don't look like Bantu black people. Okay, so, they got more European features, so, they may not be attacked necessarily for that, but they'll be attacked for something like dark skin, or they'll be attacked just by their proxy to black people. Right? Because again, I don't care where you go in the black Muslim world, there are no black Muslims that are on the global scale associated with wealth and status. They have the same problem as the non-Muslim black Africans. They think they don't, but they actually do. You know what I'm saying? People are running around saying Arab money. They're not saying Somali money. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's saying Somali money. Ain't nobody saying North Sudanese money. Ain't nobody saying that, right? I mean, all it is a bunch of, black Muslims who look and dress Muslim, culturally speaking. They adopted the culture, but they adopted none of the wealth. So again, they have the same problem as the rest of black folks in black diaspora. And so, again, if it's going to be argued that it's not my place, well, I mean, I don't need it to be my place. At the end of the day, most of y'all gonna get your nigga wake up call if you living in Western society, because the tribalism is gonna hit you in the face. You're not gonna be able to deny it. You can deny it when you're living in your exclusively, all Muslim, all black, or relatively black countries like Somalia or freaking Nigeria or whatever. Like, yeah, you can ignore it then, because you don't see the other groups of people like that on a day-to-day basis. You don't interact with them on a day-to-day basis, unlike the black Muslims who live in America or live in the UK, where you got different groups and different ethnic people living on top of each other. So when they want to show they ass to you and how much they don't value black Africans, you're going to see that shit and feel that shit immediately. So, I think it's just going to take some time. That's all it's going to take. Because it took black people the same amount of time, black people who were force-fed Christianity. It took, African Americans some time to walk away from white Jesus. It don't matter how much, we were sold white Jesus. At the end of the day, it was them same white folks that was running around fucking us up. Them same white folks running around burning crosses on our yard. Them same white folks that still considered us 3/5 of a man. Them same white folks that still created Jim Crow laws and segregation and miscegenation laws and everything else. Them same white folks that call themselves Christians treated us like we wasn't shit. Didn't matter how much we believed in the Lord and believed in white Jesus and all that stuff. It didn't matter. It doesn't matter. And the same goes for the black Muslim. It does not matter how many times you pray a day. It doesn't matter how many times you say Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar. It does not matter. At the end of the day, how other groups treat you, that's happening in real time. You can talk all about the spirituality and the metaphysics and what Allah doesn't allow and doesn't like and all that other shit. I don't see Allah throwing no lightning bolts. I don't see Allah opening up the ground. I don't see Allah running around punishing people, right? I don't see Allah doing any of that. So if you ask me, Allah is merciful to everybody else except your black ass. So this is just one of them things that black Muslims are just going to have to, they're just going to have to deal with. Again, not my culture, not necessarily my group. You know, I'd get shouted down if I walked in the room and told a bunch of black Muslims the truth about how the world actually operates. Most of them are going to be in denial. Most of them are going to side with the Arab and the very people who mistreat them and look down upon them. They'll side with them because they share the same faith. I can't do anything about that. Black Muslims are going to have to grow and mature out of that and recognize that tribalism and racialism comes first before faith and religion. They're going to have to recognize that. But as long as they want to live in denial and live in delusion that's not the reality, there's nothing I can do about that. You know what I mean? It's going to be like like freaking swirlers and shit. I'm going to go get a white man. And they run out there and get a white man and they get called a nigger and then they come running back crying and shit. And I'm like, I told you, stop fucking with them white folks. You know, so you see what I'm saying? Like, when, it's like, look, you can go out there and you have black Muslims that marry other groups and whatnot and everything. And you can have loving interpersonal relationships and whatnot. But don't get it twisted in thinking that those other groups value you the same way that they value themselves or the same way that they value other non-black African Muslims. They value them more. I mean, look at the whole Arab. Why would they value a black person when you can see just through the modeling, just through the makeup, how much everything is about being fair skinned and all the freaking whitening makeup that they put on their face and shit where their face don't even match their goddamn neck in their wedding pictures and shit. If that's what they want to look like during the wedding photos, what the fuck makes you think that they're going to sit around and value your Somali blackness? What makes you think they're going to value that shit? You know what I'm saying? And you can sit there and you can dismiss me and you can say, do not listen to the kufar. You know what I'm saying? You could talk all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But, whatever. I'm like, truth is truth. As African Americans love to say, eventually you're going to get your nigga wake up call. And when it happens and you're going to be all in your feelings and all in your emotions and crying and everything else. And, it's just a grieving process you're just going to have to go through. Hopefully you can wake up out of that and recognize what the hell is going on. Just like Khalid Muhammad did when he left the Nation of Islam. When he started looking around and recognizing, that shit wasn't right. That the Arab is just as racist as the white man. And in Malcolm X, he got treated like royalty when he went to Mecca because, he's a freaking celebrity. He didn't get the normal black people treatment. He got the celebrity treatment. Same with Muhammad Ali. Celebrity treatment. You become boxing champion of the world. Yeah, they're going to treat you differently. Other than regular black folks where they running around calling black folks Abid. I'm most certainly sure they didn't call Malcolm X Abid when he was visiting, what's that damn thing called? The kebab or something like that. What's that thing? What's that damn thing? That big box that everybody worships around. Yeah, they wasn't calling him that. They're not stupid. That was propaganda for them. That was, again, the Arab man don't get along with the white man, but don't think for 1 second that the Arab man does not participate and engage in the system of white supremacy because he sees himself as a white man himself. It's just two different cultures of whiteness if you want to look at it like that. That's what it is. But don't ever think that they're going to side with the black African because they're Muslim before they side with the white man, the white Christian man. Shit, the black African, why would they want to side with the black African? The black African has no power. The white man, the white Christian man, is the one with the nuclear weapons and the bombs and the aircraft carriers and the weapons of mass destruction and the thermonuclear devices and the what is that shit called, the Hadron Collider and stuff, and trying to figure out, unlock the secrets of the universe and cold fusion and shit like that. What does the black African have? What does even the Muslim black African have? Nothing. Nothing but the holy books that outside groups gave them. That's all they have. Or the bastardized versions of the holy books that outside groups gave them. Because I believe that African spirituality, if people want to say that people originated, or human beings originated from Africa, okay, well then, then obviously spirituality originated with us. But we somehow let everybody else, take the spirituality, go off, bastardize it, and then sell it back to us. Sell it back to us with versions that elevate them, and then we subscribe to that. That's problematic. That's problematic. But I'll criticize black Muslims when I feel like criticizing black Muslims. But I'm just saying, black Muslims are going to have to wake up on their own. They can't be saved. It's one of them things where it's an awakening. And I've seen awakening on some black Muslims that grew up in the West. Where their parents, they came here thinking that they were not black because they were comparing themselves to Bantu black people. But then when they come into America, white people just still see them as black. So they get put in the same pot. It doesn't matter that the man's first name is Hakeem or something like that. That doesn't matter. They don't see a Hakeem when Hakeem is walking down the street. They see a nigga, right? Just like you saw with that cop that was that guy that was handcuffed that was yelling at that black female cop, nigga, 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 right? Like, he didn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? They do not separate. They put all of them in the same pot. And I know that there's black people that say, well, why do we separate ourselves? Well, there's reasons behind that. You know what I'm saying? Even like what you saw with that Christopher Hitchens speech with that what's his name, Mr. Lowry or Dr. Lowry. He's not even African American. He's Costa Rican. But yeah, he's up there talking about how African Americans don't need reparations for slavery, right? And that's how the system of white supremacy does, by infiltrating the black community with people who don't even have the lineage of black African Americans. So, there's reasons behind why people want to create this sort of separatism and whatnot, because we have to deal with our problems first, just like you have to deal with your problems first, but I don't know what else to tell, black Muslims. I already know that the way you think and feel, or what you're questioning now, you can only question that in Western society. You couldn't take that back to Somalia and question them. They'd have you killed. I've seen the beheadings and all that shit that they do in Somalia over there on Rotten.com or the Young News Channel, right? I've seen it. That was like one of the first beheadings I saw online. They killed some guy because he was Christian. So like I said, I'm not a big fan of Muslims or Muslim ideology. You know what I mean? I know I have Muslim friends, I have Muslim people that I kick it with and I'm cool with and everything. But as long as they don't operate on that shit like it's like they live and breathe it like hardcore, I can fuck with them. But as soon as they get on that shit, which is what you're going to see when you go back to Africa and the Horn of Africa, them niggas is retarded. Okay, same with the Arab Muslims, they're retarded. Okay, they psychologically, all up in their feelings. Everything is about Islam. They fucking their cousins. They inbred. I don't have a lot of value placed on them, and the idea that they can truly be intellectuals. If any group of people are the worst intellectuals, it's Muslims, without a doubt. And people can call me racist or biased or whatever. It's just facts. They are intellectually as the most closed-minded people on earth, and any true intellectual knows what I'm talking about if they ever sat down and actually try to have a intellectual conversation, especially about religion, with a Muslim. They're just hardcore. They've been taught and programmed that way. They're not allowed to question anything. That's the one thing I can at least say with Christianity is Christianity has had a referendum. Christianity got dragged through the 20th century in terms of people questioning it and examining it and breaking it down. You know what I mean? Like when you talk to a Muslim, the first thing they'll tell you is that the Quran has been unchanged. Unlike the Bible that has been changed and has different versions and everything else. So that's their argument. So it shows you how much their mindset is not rigid, is rigid, and it's not flexible. So for a black Muslim, it's going to be a slow process. It's just what it is. It's going to be a slow process. And I'm not going to sit around and tell other black people that they need to wait for the black Muslims to become woke, in order to move forward. As far as I'm concerned, I'm like, fuck them. You know what I'm saying? They want to be over there in bed with the Arabs. Fuck them. You know what I mean? We got to treat them the same way that we treat black coons. Fuck them. And that's just what it is. I can't sit around and wait for the army of black Muslims to be like, oh wait, we gonna put black first before Islam. I don't even know if that's possible. But I'm just saying, the more you are going to have to challenge that, not me. You're the only one that can challenge that. And that may come with great bodily harm to yourself coming from your own people. Because, again, they don't like shit being questioned. They can't process the shit. Okay? But that can't come from me. It has to come from you. The culture, the language, the religion, all that stuff. But I think as there's a growing number of first, second, and third generation black Muslims in the UK or in America, or even I'll throw France in there or whatever. As there's a growing number, and they're living around other groups, and they're having to deal with racism and discrimination in real time. I think that there'll be a slow awakening where people are going to start saying, you know what, I'm getting sick and tired of people saying that they believe in one thing, but their actions say completely something else. What is the point of me following this book when the very people who are supposed to be my brethren and my sister are against me, or orient themselves to be against me or put me down, and they're not even following the word that we're supposed to be following together? Again, that's your own spiritual search. I woke up to that reality a long time ago, which is why I'm an atheist, or why I'm a-religious, or why I don't subscribe, to religious dogma as my orientation in the world. I decide what is right and what is wrong, and it generally aligns itself with a lot of the religious principles anyway, and that's how I operate my life. But I don't get so deluded that I sit there and I'm blinded by that if an Arab walks in the room and a black man walks in the room, that I'm going to automatically side with the Arab man because I share the same faith. That's delusional, and that's one of the reasons why religion for black people is problematic, because black people have not established their black identity around being black or their blackness, which I understand is complicated because Africa is a continent and it's very diverse and everything. But let's not get stupid with it. You know what I'm saying? It's like let's not pick ourselves apart, to the point where it's like, now all of a sudden you got people who are clearly black claiming that they're not black, or get so retarded that we just try to act like all of black Africa is the same black, and it's not the same black, right? You can't go too extreme in either direction. But I'm just saying, black Muslims abroad, these first and second generations, they're going to have to be the ones that challenge, their elders, and challenge their identity and what it means to be, a black Somali living in the West, and recognizing, the racial discrimination that applies to you in being a black man, how you're going to be perceived in the West. And how, there's racism in Islam, and black is at the bottom of the totem pole, and how you're going to navigate the Muslim world with that being, a reality. Are you comfortable with that? Are you cool with that? Or are you fine with people, people's words not reflecting their actions, right? But I mean, that's all I can say about it. I just think that over time, it's a growth thing. And the more first and second generation Muslims that you have growing up in the U.S., Canada, and UK, I'm just talking mainly English speakers. They're gonna start challenging this stuff. They're gonna start seeing it for what it is. But again, when you live in isolation and you're in an all-black country and you adopt a religion from foreign lands and you're following the book based on your interpretation and the beliefs that are laid out there, and you're not seeing the racism in real time. And then you go and you just it's like y'all think you guys are getting the same educational program. You know what I'm saying? It's like you say, oh, well, we're reading the same book as they're reading, but they're not necessarily teaching the same thing in that book about you as you're teaching in your book about them. And that's where the problem lies in Islam, because you don't see black African racism focused towards the Arab. In the Muslim world, you see Arab racism focused towards the black African in the Arab world. So clearly what they're being taught is not what you're teaching yourself or what you're being taught. And the same thing applies to the black Christians in America who run around talking all that white Jesus stuff and talking about, oh, glory be to God, and all that turn the other cheek and all that other white Jesus Christianity stuff. And again, I've already shown what white people don't operate like that. While black people talk about turn the other cheek, white people talk about praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. So they're being taught completely different things. And so that puts black people at a disadvantage, which is why I want black people to throw religion in the trash bin. But I understand it's very difficult, but this video will be out there and saved or whatever for future generations, so that it can be said, and I'm not the first person to do it, but it can be said that this has already been discussed. This has already been done. This has already been questioned. This has already been examined. What more else is there to say? Nobody can say that this particular point was not brought up, because I'm bringing it up now. Anyway, that's my video. SWP out.
أبا مينونة تعالي.
I said